It's Monday on Your View. Welcome to the show. I am Mariah Afolabi Brown. As always, I have the ladies. Hello. Yeah, that's the idea. I'm trying to be all Hillary here. How are you doing?
Fine.
I think it suits my personality. It's good to always find people that you think that you match their personality and try to model. How are you?
I'm fine. Spent the weekend resting.
Good.
As in, this is the laziest weekend I've had in a long time. And I was really feeling lazy.
Because you've been on the road for a while. Yeah.
I was feeling really lazy. I was like, just stay on that bed and sleep. No excuses. So I really rested. It wasn't eventful in any way, but I got information. Somebody reached out to me that watches the show about property, land, just asking me about investment and agric. And I was having a conversation with her. When I finished, my husband said, you have become an agric consultant. So I was like, I don't know, I just feel like anything you want to do, just soak yourself inside it. So she bought a land in a
And you soak.
And I soak.
Really
I
soak.
overdo. So she was asking what she should do. She lives in the UK. She watches the show. And so she was wondering which of the investments. I was advising her that, see, animals can die. Animals, they can get stolen, but if you plant, it's good. And, you know, I was able to advise her, and I think she would go with it. I pray she actually does, because it will be better for her than having to be calling and be saying, stay the picture of the animal.
But you are doing animals because
we are on ground. If you're not
Right.
on ground, don't do animal investment or livestock investment,
Right,
because
right.
anything can happen to them that might not be the fault of the caretaker, or it might even be the caretaker is scamming you. You can't be sure. But if you plant on ground,
Need to
it's
go.
a safer one. So that was,
Okay, that's
I
nice.
was feeling myself sharp.
How are you doing, Nima?
Traffic. Catch you
morning.
today.
I have too many rants, but let me just be on the good side. So happy birthday, Shade Kwanle. She's a fan of your view. Send me pictures that she took
Hello,
with
Shade
Mariah
Kwanle.
at the women event you had. She's attended a lot of those
God
events.
bless you, Shade.
So
Happy birthday.
Shade.
She sent message, and because Mariah announced on the show that I have a duty, shout out to all of you. So now I'm sure that I'll be getting it. That's one of them. And I wanted to really shout out to one of my, partners. Chris has a TV show in America, Unveiling Africa, on an African TV station, and she's partnered me and still sends me birthday gifts. Happy birthday, Chris. So, sorry, thank you, Chris, but I must say thank you for the birthday gift as well. She also sent me the face mask, and because of that, I remembered quick that I had posted I was going to give
This
out
same
face
Chris of
mask.
TVC or another Chris?
No, this is a different, this is my Edo sister. So happy, thank you so much, Chris, for the support, and congratulations on your TV show.
That's nice.
Congratulations.
Fantastic.
Nigerians are doing great stuff.
Yeah, I went to church on Sunday.
Yeah, everybody knows you went to church.
Yeah,
on Sunday.
no,
You put that
there's
on
some viewers
Instagram.
that might not have known that I went to church. So I was in church on Sunday. I wanted to be amongst the dove, just to see what happened. And honestly, the church, but our church was the first opening last Sunday. And it was actually really organized. The whole temperature checking, they complied. It was about a quarter capacity that came, but it wasn't really bad. And I think people should stop being afraid. I saw a few of my church members on the road exercising. She said, "Maria, what did December can tell us anyway?" So people are still afraid, but it's all good. But it doesn't mean I'm going to go next week. I just wanted to go and test the waters, just to see. And I think church has resumed. Please, brethren,
Enjoy.
resume. Okay, we're going to break now. When we come back, we go through the front pages of the papers. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Right, we're going to start with Daily Sun. Again, Ghana descends on Nigerians, shuts businesses. Traders seek Buhari ECOWAS intervention. PDP senators kick. Police rearrest Oyo serial killer. Bloody Sunday in Enugu as police IPOB clash. 14 million Nigerian students out of school, says Obasanjo. Probe, Mago fights back, warns against indictment. Insecurity, we may lose all seats in 2023, APC stalwarts warn. Okay, let's start with Ghana. What's going on there?
Yeah, Ghana has closed down shops belonging to Nigerians. They sealed off all the shops based on the fact that they do not have up to $1 million equity stipulated by the Ghana Investment Promotion Council. Now, Senator Baribe is saying that this is similar to xenophobia. What's the use of having ECOWAS? But the Ghanaian government is saying that for any foreigner to have a company or run a business in Ghana, they must come in as an investor with $1 million equity.
Wow.
So, and many of the Nigerian businesses that have been shut down now don't have that. So they've been shut down. And I'm looking for a way that we would peacefully resolve this issue. But the Nigerian party is just saying that we have ECOWAS, we have ECOWAS. So what is the ECOWAS body saying concerning this specifically is what I'm looking forward to hearing. But we didn't get that perspective. They have a right to protect the interests of their country citizens, and we should also do the same, protecting our own interest.
Okay, 14 million Nigerians are children are.
I have that story too. So former President Obasanjo mentioned that we have 14 million children out of school, unable to get access to education. He said that in emphasizing the fact that, let me get the story clear, sorry.
We can move on to the nation and take that a bit later, okay? Court freezes 65 accounts for Forex manipulation. This was interesting because, according to CBN, their activities caused volatility in the foreign exchange. 14 firms' accounts domiciled in 13 banks, and they also had Chinese connections. Polaris Bank MD Abi retires. ECOWAS mediation team meets ousted president and junta leaders. 160 Nigerian businesses remain shut in Ghana. Why we won't call off strike by ASU. Okay, so I read that story. ECOWAS have finally met the ousted president of Mali and also the leaders of the junta, just to see if they can, and led by our own very own former president, Goodluck Jonathan, and he's led the team. And he said that he has seen the former president. He's well, and they're still trying to have that mediation. There obviously hasn't been any resolution, but at least talks are ongoing, which is good, which was important. Another story there was Forex. You wanted to take that story?
Yeah, so the CBN has gotten permission to freeze the account of 14 companies and one particular man, this particular...
Adekunle Olushola Alonge.
Yes. He was found to have gotten access to foreign exchange for transactions that did not have a right to get at that figure. And so I'm happy that the CBN is on the matter and they've been able to get in touch, freeze
He got Forex for goods that were not eligible.
Yes, not eligible.
For importation.
Yes, not eligible for importation at that value.
At that value.
Yeah, so because we have, they've done a staggered
What's even more damning is that one person
using multiple
channels, and that affects.
There should be more than just freezing the account. It should be prosecuted, but I don't know. It's a financial crime, Nima. What's the
Let's move on to the Punch. APC interim panel compiles errant members list to propose expulsion. Oyo community farmers lament destruction of farms by headsmen. 8 Lagos naval ratings torture peacemaker to death over 250 naira. Sanusi visits Kaduna, knocks NBA for withdrawing El Rufai's invitation. We owe contractors 336 billion naira, says Fashola. Bandits killed 1,126 Nigerian villages in 6 months, Amnesty International. And, okay, so the human interest story, which story do we have?
I want to first take the Oyo story. So the farmers, I'm partial. So the farmers have complained in Orire local government of Oyo State that cattle herders come into their land and thrash their farmland. The Onikoye of Ikoyile, which is where I have farming interest, is also saying that farmland is being thrashed by herders. And so they said they are called the Bororo. They are a different kind of Fulani headsmen that come and they come into the land with their heads, with their cattle to thrash their land. And, you know, we already have...
this raises to question the Amotekun.
Yes.
So because, yes, these were confirmed issues, you know, around the creation of Amotekun. I would think that with all this number of months past...
All the uniforms and the cars and the weapons they give to their police.
But truly, farmers are having issues because Paddy now, let me just talk my own, rice is crazy. It's continually rising. I'm landing rice in Lagos at almost 25,000. How much am I going to sell Nigerian rice? You know?
Okay, we have to move on. There's a human interest story, the really sad story. I read that.
So the guy's name is Collins Osage, and he was a peacemaker. He was trying to settle the quarrel between 2 people, over 250 naira, the driver and...
What happened was that this man was selling spare parts. Obviously, sold to a soldier. Maybe for whatever reason it was fake or something. The man came, the naval officer. So the man came back and said, this plug you gave to me did not work. I want my money back. That was, sorry, I cannot refund. So there was a back and forth. The peacemaker now came and said, okay, Oga Naval, let me give you 250 naira. Just sorry about what happened. Trying to make peace. Naval beat him up, beat up the guy they came to meet, and then more people now came. They started fighting. There was a further brawl, and then even in the evening, they saw that guy later, and they still beat him up, and then they found his dead body. And they had to take his body to the hospital, but unfortunately, he was dead on arrival.
The
really,
pictures,
really sad story.
the pictures to this story, I'm sure. Videos.
Yes, there are pictures. There are
So
videos.
Hopefully,
too.
we'll get justice with that.
Okay, moving on now very quickly to Daily Trust. Tanker fire kills 207, injures 221 in 3 years. Daily Trust and their research, data information. We like Daily Trust. Bandits killed 1,126 villagers in 6 months, says Amnesty International. Many fear dead as security operatives, IPOB members clash in Enugu. Do you have any story there? Yes.
This major headline. So the Daily Times, again, well done, has done a detailed report within 3 years, how tankers have continued to take cost our lives. They took from 2018 to 2020 number of fires that have occurred due to tank farms. And I would like to quickly link that story to what is happening now at Ikotu Isheri again, about Lagos State announcing that there is a vandalized pipeline and a possibility of fire happening there. This, our channel of carrying, is not something, I think everybody in government and all lawmakers in those constituencies where pipeline, especially Satellite Town again, should focus on what Daily Trust is writing and look at ways to truly, honestly...
Going back to that report, it was 31 incidents in 15 states, caused 221 deaths in 3 years, and that's not a good figure. Moving on very quickly now to Vanguard. How Ibadan suspected serial killer was rearrested by group. More pressures as growth in non-oil export revenue stagnates. Mayhem as police IPOB members clash in Enugu. Which story do we have here? And who read Sanusi faults MBA on El Rufai?
I read
That's
it.
the first outing
Very
now.
interesting. Very interesting.
You ready? Go ahead.
Okay, let's quickly go there. So the former emir of Kano visited Kaduna, now, and the crowd that went to welcome him. Of course, he still has the love of his people. But he went to visit his friend in solidarity with his friend, just as he stood by him when he was dethroned, and he spoke against the NBA, disinviting him. I personally have my grounds about it. I think the NBA as a law body, we've really goofed big time. Don't invite if you must disinvite. Check through your guests.
Sure.
Yes, and if you wanted to protest, as lawyers, we should have given him fair hearing. I'd have loved to see El Rufai stand on the podium, trying to talk. And lawyers,
we gave you your invitation. We can withdraw your invitation.
There's
nothing wrong in that.
Go at him with the facts and figures that they have, unlike us talking on newspapers, and ask him why there's no peace in Southern Kaduna, not disinvite him and say we're protesting. He will go back to his office.
Reasons.
He's a lawmaker.
Well, he got 3,000
yes, and they got enough signatures.
So you colleagues will say, you have the petition.
That those signatures is because other people thought it was a plaything, and most people did not vote because now people are saying boycott. Anyways. So there's always that disagreement, but I think we messed ourselves up big time.
Anyways, that's from your view. But others don't think so.
I'm the lawyer here.
Yeah, others don't think so. Femi Falana agrees and says that it was a good thing that he was withdrawn.
Then we should disinvite every politician in this country because with that, there's nobody holding an office in this country that doesn't have
a story in tribute.
I guess
the serial killer.
Yes.
So usually they'll say ritual killer, but this serial killer has been rearrested. The one that escaped last week has been rearrested with the help of his own resident association security, their vigilante. Yes, they informed the police and got him rearrested.
I've seen the papers that they didn't want to tell us how they
didn't want to know, but it was in other papers online. Yes.
Okay, which story do you want to take?
I want to take in the water resources.
Go ahead, very quickly.
So, water resources has been an issue before because in the
water resources bill,
right, which is a new bill that would institute a new body to manage all water resources and the immediate environs of water around Nigeria would now fall under the executive. So the president will now have a new agency that will handle it. So now the previous assembly passed it, but the Senate, it didn't get concurrence from the Senate. And now the Senate president is saying he's eager to see how it goes. But members of the assembly are saying this is wrong. And they're asking that they don't want to sign, they don't want to approve it. But Abia already approved it, so the lower chamber already passed.
Saraki's assembly rejected it.
Saraki's assembly rejected it. The new one, the new Senate now, is eager to accept it and pass it into law. I'm wondering, isn't the presidency
The executive,
even
actually.
the executive overburdened with work? Shouldn't we just spread a little of this thing and let the states handle?
Decentralize, please.
I think that was the promise they told us before, that they are decentralizing.
Unfortunately, we have to.
We did get to the Guardian now. Naira has fallen in value now.
We know.
So when you travel around West African states before, Naira used to be our dollar. If you show somebody 1,000 Naira, they'll quickly change for you. But now we are 1 Naira to the CFA. So you are traveling across to just owe your CFA.
See that Naira thing here, we have to make it a hot topic.
Major headline in the
bring
Guardian.
somebody to come and help us understand
Savings
the way
savings
forward.
don't make sense right now.
I don't know what
anymore.
they're doing at the
Yeah,
CBN.
working.
They should please
God
help.
have mercy on us.
Policies that will grow.
Very soon, we'll going to Canada. That's all we can take on Front Page Review. When we come back, this issue of karma, everyone is talking about it. But your view we haven't really thrashed it. We discussed the hot topic last week, but now we want to dig further. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back. Welcome back to Your View.
Thanks for staying with us. So before we move on to our hot topic, we got news that Professor Akinbayomi, the Honorable Commissioner for Health in Lagos State, has tested positive for coronavirus. As you know, the government of Lagos State have worked tirelessly to contain the virus here in Lagos, and our prayers and thoughts are with him and his family at this time. Moving on now to our topic. President Muhammadu Buhari assented to the Companies and Allied Matters Bill 2020, recently passed by the National Assembly, which reforms the 30 years existing laws. Under the law, religious bodies, charity organizations will be strictly regulated by the Registrar-General of the Corporate Affairs Commission, CAC, and the supervising minister. Now, everyone has been speaking about this for a while. The whole of last week, we discussed the hot topic on it because the Bishop Oyedepo of Winners Chapel had responded. So we discussed it on the surface. However, this week, even this morning, I think the breakfast show this morning had talked about it. Your View is taking it deeper because we're now going to be joined with the Corporate Affairs Commission Registrar-General, Garba Abubakar. And we're going to have the Senior Pastor, Guiding Light Assembly, Abuja Worship Center, Apostle Israel Abam. He actually will be representing CAN's perspective on this issue. Welcome, gentlemen, to the show.
Thank you. Good morning.
Thank you so much.
I would like to start with the Registrar-General, Garba Abubakar, on this because we'd like to understand, we've heard quite a bit of versions out there. We'd like to start with the reason why it was important for the government to insert this section into that bill.
Thank you so much for the question. As you have rightly said, the repealed law was enacted in 1990. It ran for 30 years without any significant amendment. Company law and laws governing the operations of associations, charities, and others have changed over the years globally. And as a country, we want to be competitive. We want our laws to be in line with the best practice, the best standards globally. And the only way to achieve that is to look at the legal framework and introduce those reforms that will make our law to be in line with the best practice globally. And some of the provisions that we try to include in this law are consistent with what obtains in other jurisdictions. So we are not doing anything new. Already some of these provisions are applicable in other jurisdictions. So as I said, to achieve competitiveness, you have to use best practice, best standards, not your own standards. So what we have simply done is to look at global standards and tailor our laws to meet those standards. Thank
Okay.
you.
Well, okay, go ahead.
Okay, so the question most people tend to have concerning this is the lack of trust of government implementation and the worry that it might get hijacked, the hijacking by an individual that wants to just be vindictive towards one person. Maybe that's why people are in doubt of what this law is. What assurance can Nigerians have that this will not be hijacked?
Okay, we need to even understand what the law is talking about. Because most of the people making these allegations, they have not even read the law. What the law is saying, where there is any misconduct or misappropriation in any association, or why it is desirable to protect the property of that association or ensure proper application of the property, or where there is fraud or on grounds of public interest, CAC may suspend a trustee. And you have to read the provision of section 839, subsection 1, in conjunction with subsection 7A, that says you can only suspend after an inquiry. What are we talking about? These associations, by their nature, are not for profit. It's not like a company where somebody has invested his money and he can run the business and make profit. These associations, any association registered as an incorporated trustee, which is now part F of CAMA, is supposed to be run in line with the law, in line with the enabling constitution. And the major characteristic of this association and the distinguishing feature of the association is the income and property of the association shall be applied strictly for the promotion of its objectives. And no portion thereof shall be distributed by the members. So this is what the law is talking about. And you are talking of misconduct, you are talking of misappropriation. And CSE can only suspend after an inquiry. And even the suspension has to be approved by the minister. So the issue of trust, I have said this in earlier on. If you choose to register, then you must submit yourself to regulatory supervision.
All right.
You may decide not to register, then you can operate in the manner you want to operate.
Okay, let me bring in the Pastor Abam here. I would like to hear your thoughts on what exactly is the bone of contention. We've heard from what the Registrar-General has said concerning that particular clause that everybody's talking about. What's the contention that PFN, CAN, and other pastors and even religious bodies have against this bill exactly?
Thank you so much. When the discussion is opened with an idea that we do not want to submit to regulatory authorities, that's not correct. We are all Nigerians. Let me quickly bring this in on three dimensions. First is the legality of what has been done. In this country, there are laws, and we submit ourselves to the laws. You do not come in with a law without properly establishing the procedures for how that law is to be enforced. We are Nigerians, so on the first basis, there's lack of trust for our system here, how laws are enforced. When provisions are made, as we find in Section 7 and in 839, 1 and 2, and even subsection 7 of this present law, we know that this is a setup to silence opposition to any government. And we're not specifically talking about this government because it's a law that will outlive so many governments that are coming. We find it unacceptable where the legal framework is not complete in the way the law has established it by this amendment. First, under the Constitution, we have a right of association. Now, if you go and place trustees on us by suspending our trustees, no matter the procedure you follow, you are forcing us to associate with people we don't want to associate. And the case law and the law of the land is clear on this matter. Okay. We have several Supreme Court judgments to that effect. So we cannot therefore, yes.
There's an issue of time that bothers me on this protest now, because this law went through the first and second and all the procedures that the House would do to amend the law. And it's been amended and accented and is now an act of the federal government of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. And now we're protesting it. Why not at the point when it was being passed, when lawmakers were supposed to debate it, our own representatives? Why now?
Very, very good. I mean, you know, it's interesting. So many distractions were caused. Let me bring you up to date. You remember in 2017, the bill was brought for the regulation of NGOs and associations, if you remember. And we were there, we made a presentation, and the bill was rejected. Then we heard nothing. And all we heard was that CAMA was being amended. And then nobody called for public hearing to our knowledge. We are stakeholders. Nobody called us for that we failed when we could have made our input. Yeah, we are aware the law has been passed, assented to by Mr. President, but we are not left without options. We are saying Mr. President can always send a law back to the National Assembly. He has done that before severally, this particular president, to be amended, or we will go to court to challenge it, because under the Constitution, we have a right to challenge any provision of law that infringes on our constitutional rights.
Okay.
I want to take this back to the Registrar-General of CAC. Sir, the question for me is, whenever we're making laws, we must get the buy-in of those that are going to be governing with this law. And also, we don't want a law that would pitch them against us as a government. I'm sure that's the mindset. So what exactly do you believe is the grievance of those that have raised issues with this law, and how can the government find a middle ground so that everybody would comply, which is what we want?
Thank you so much. This law passed through all the due process. There was public hearing in 2018 in both chambers of the National Assembly. So all stakeholders, the law was exposed on our website. And if people didn't make submission to the National Assembly at that time, then it's unfortunate. But the law has been passed. It is now a law. Anybody that has any reservation on any provision can make its presentation to government. Government will look at it. But what are we talking about? This law, as I've said, is not peculiar to Nigeria. The provision of Section 839, subsection 1, is consistent. In fact, the provisions of Section 46, Section 76, and Section 107 of the Charities Act of the UK 2011 are even more extensive than what we have under CAMA. And under the Charities Act, the Charities Commission has concurrent jurisdiction to a high court in UK, and it can suspend any trustee.
Right.
So the issue is, this is not new to CAMA.
Right.
If you recall, anytime government makes any attempt to introduce any reform for not-for-profit, it's always faced with a resistance. There was a code of corporate governance that was produced some time back. It met the same resistance.
Right.
But as I have said, if we want to compete, we want to adopt global standards.
Yeah, I have to say something, sir. We hear government tell us this all the time, international best practice. But what Nigerians are saying, that many of these laws must be domesticated to fit our society, our realities. We are a polarized country, and it's great to have international best practice. But at the same time, you must also consider all the various issues within our own environment here. So was that considered? Because you keep saying that it's international best practice, and for us, that's still not good enough.
Yes, it was very well considered, because that is why you have two provisions under F39. Circumstances under which CAC may suspend, and where CAC has to go to court to get the suspension. Where there is misconduct or misappropriation, you don't have to wait. If you are going to wait for the judicial process, the damage will have been done. This asset, as I have said, this is not a company. Whatever belongs to the association, it does not belong to the trustees. It doesn't belong to the members. They are the legal representatives of this association. So the assets are held in trust, and the law has outlined how these assets will be applied based on the constitution of the association. So as I have said, the law has two legs. Circumstances under which you can suspend, and even to suspend, the person you are suspending is entitled to be heard.
Right.
You have to go through the process of inquiry. It has to be referred to the Administrative Proceedings Committee of the CAC. The committee will invite the trustee involved to come and make representation. He's entitled to legal representation.
Right.
After all this, within 14 days, the APC will come with a decision. This decision has to be approved by the board of the commission. Our board comprises representatives of so many agencies like the Bar Association, the accounting profession, the NASIMA, and Ministry of Justice, and others.
Right.
After the board has approved this thing, the report has to be sent to the Honorable Minister for approval. So there are checks and balances. It's not, CSE doesn't have absolute power to just remove anybody as trustee.
Okay, let me go on a quick
All
break.
the powers are subject to checks, yes.
Thank you very much. Let me go on a quick break. We'll be right back to continue this conversation. Stay with us, don't go anywhere.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back. Welcome back to Your View.
Thanks for staying with us. So we still have the Corporate Affairs Commission Registrar-General, Garba Abubakar, and Pastor Adam of Guidance Assembly, Abuja. Yes, Nima had a question.
I wanted to talk to the Registrar-General, sir. So some parts of the NBA raised issues calling this law draconian, saying that you've been empowered now to remove the trustees of any of these bodies and arbitrarily put in place an interim board of trustees to take over their affairs, saying that the powers of the courts to decide, to hear both sides and decide whether there's been an abuse within any of the bodies have been taken away. How do you respond to that?
No, I think I have alluded to that in my earlier response. This power is not absolute, and you cannot suspend without inquiry. You have to hear from the other party. And the grounds are clearly stated, as I've said, on grounds of misconduct, misappropriation, where the property of the association, for the need to protect the property or to ensure proper application of the property. One distinguishing feature of associations registered as incorporated trustees, as I've said, the individual is merely a trustee. And if an organization receives donation or contribution from members for a particular activity, the trustees have a duty to ensure proper application of what they have received. And if they fail to do that, on that ground, the commission can suspend them. Right. I have stated the grounds upon which the suspension can be done. And as I've said, what we have in Kama is not even anywhere close to what we have in other jurisdictions, particularly the UK, where the commission has concurrent jurisdiction like a high court. In Nigeria, the decision of the Administration Proceedings Committee of the CAC can be challenged in the High Court. So there are necessary safeguards to ensure that this thing is applied in line with the law and there is fair hearing. Nobody is usurping powers of any court.
All right. Let me come to Pastor Abam for a second. Pastor Abam, a lot of critics of Kant's perspective on this have raised examples of what happened with maybe MFM Church in the UK, I think KICC in the UK, and I think Christ Embassy, a few churches like that, big churches who have had issues with the law, where either the board have been suspended because of issues of mismanagement and all that. So when you juxtapose that with what CAC bill is trying to do, what the Kama Act is trying to do, why is there so much opposition to it? Don't you think it's actually in the best interest for those who are putting funds together into these organizations?
Listen, thank you for that question, but let me quickly bring something out here. The climb in the UK and the procedures, how they are applied, without any political undertones, the trust that the system had over the centuries built for itself is absolutely lacking in this climb. We all know. Here, these laws we know have been set up, particularly the offending section, had been set up to silence the church that is in these last years been very critical of government. What is the omnibus provision of saying, public overall public interest, for public interest? How do you define that without a court properly taking the legal steps to establish that? You're giving a man unilateral authority and power to do as he wishes. We know in this climb what happens. We don't trust the government. The government will silence the church. This is what they want to control us. And so because that is, an act held over your head by reason of this law, you cannot speak. They will come under that omnibus provision and shut you down and take, everything away from you. So you are just made to comply. No, we don't want that. Let the courts be to determine whether, let courts be the one to determine whether a fraud has happened. Well, how can the Registrar-General arrogate that power to himself by this law to determine whether a fraud has happened?
All right, sir.
The inquiries are going to be in the panels to inquire. All right, let the court do their work.
Okay, point taken.
Okay, sir. So the challenge is, the truth is, this law has come with a lot of controversies from the religious body side, and many individuals are applauding this law that for once there would be a board that would be able to ensure accountability of the resources. And I know that religious leaders might frown against this because for what they are having to give account of finances to a third party, neutral body. But many of the members of the churches, if you check out what's going on Twitter, sir, if you go on social media, many Christians and even non-Christians are applauding this law, saying that, yes, finally, we can be sure where the money being donated to religious organizations are going to. So, sir, would it not be better for CAN and PFN to find a way to give unto Caesar what is for Caesar? If the government is saying, be accountable, if your account is clean, they can't come and stop your church from organizing. If your account is clean.
Listen to me. There are many churches. You know, when you take a few that are rotten in the basket and rub it over all, it's sad. Many churches. Are you talking about the Catholic Church? Are you talking about the Anglican Church? Even those of us that are Pentecostals, many of us have submitted ourselves to, proper accounting procedures. You will be shocked. Go around, do your research. We have external auditors come to audit our books for purposes of proper accountability. And there is no other way we can say this for everyone to understand, that we are not saying don't hold us accountable. What we are saying is do it in a manner that is free and fair. Not in a manner to control us.
Pastor Abam,
the government...
Registrar-General just said that the power doesn't lie with the CSC. There's a process.
The power lies with the CSC. Why isn't there a provision in the law to say that they will go to court to effect this suspension?
Okay, so
I'd like him to respond to that. I'd like Registrar-General to respond to that.
I wanted Apostle Abam to answer to this. So,
let him respond to that. Go ahead,
yes.
Sir.
Okay. As I have said, there are two circumstances. The first ground, there are grounds upon which CAC may suspend, and the second ground where the court, on the application of CAC, or 20% of the members can suspend. What are we talking about? Let's start from even the constitution of these associations. The Constitution is supposed to provide the manner in which trustees and governing council shall be appointed and the manner in which they will be removed. Where you have the same individuals as members and trustees, how do we expect them to suspend themselves, relying on the provision of the Constitution? So you need an external body that has oversight over this association when there is a petition or when there are grounds to believe that there is misconduct or misappropriation. On that ground, CSE may suspend. And the fact that somebody has been suspended is not absolute, as I've said. It has to, even to suspend, you have to go through the process. And after the suspension, if he's aggrieved, he can still challenge the action in court. The essence of the suspension is to allow for, one, proper management or proper application of the funds. Because I have given an example. Supposing an organization receives donation for election monitoring in Nigeria, they are giving money, and somebody now uses this money to build a hotel or to build property somewhere. That is a clear case of misappropriation. Are you going to wait till eternity for that person to stand aside? You need to suspend him after inquiry. Then you go to court and get him removed. So as I've said, CSC's power is not absolute. And this law is not targeted at anybody. This law the whole intention of this law is to ensure accountability. Because what's peculiar about associations is there are fiscal issues. They don't pay, most of them are exempted from tax because this money is not supposed to be shared by the members. It's really supposed to be applied for the promotion of the objectives of this association. And I don't know why people are afraid of rendering accounts.
Thank you, Mr. Registrar.
It's a trust issue, but go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Registrar. So the issue is, the trust issue is what I wanted to address with the apostles. So as the registrar said, you still have cause to get to appeal any of their decisions in court. Do you still not trust the court, or is it the time of that the process will take that you don't trust?
You know, I'm sorry. You see, we are we are getting distracted from the issues here. The law, as it is, does not support what the Registrar-General is saying, because it has powers. Absolute powers to suspend.
You have not read the law, with due respect. You have not read the law.
He has absolute powers to suspend. Listen to me. What we are fighting is this. Understand us. Our beef is this. Pass the entire process through the courts. That will give us opportunity to make our own fair hearing, to get our own fair hearing. When you are dealing with the government, look at what happened to the former CJM. Look at the processes that are established in the law, and look at the way the man was removed. This is the Chief Justice of Nigeria.
So it's a track record.
Look at it. We are all Nigerians. We know what we are talking about.
Yes.
The government will come and they will not even follow any due process, and they will say, this is what the law allows.
Okay, so I would like the Registrar-General to respond to it, because so the issue is that Nigerians, from the position of CAN and PFN, it seems as if we're putting the cart before the horse. Yes, we understand it is important for us to regulate these bodies, but sometimes there's this trust issue that many of these organizations have against the government. They simply don't trust that you have their interest, because you're going to bring in a totally neutral body that might have political interests to subjugate. Undertones.
Which one is that neutral body? You see, when we want to dismiss certain issues, we raise issues of trust. It's like saying we shouldn't have laws in this country because somebody believes that the law will be applied to his own detriment. That's simply what people are saying. This is a country governed by law. As I have said, maybe the distinguished clergy didn't even read this law end to end. I have said it repeatedly that my power as Registrar-General is not absolute. I don't have power to suspend. The law says the commission. And you have to go through the Administrative Proceedings Committee process. And the person will be heard. He's entitled to legal representation. And once he's represented, he makes his position known. If the committee still
Let me pause you for a second, sir. Let me pause you. Let me pause you for a second, because you've said this point earlier. Let me take this call. He's been holding from Ghana. Chinedu, are you there? Thanks for calling, please.
Yeah, Morayo, good morning.
Go ahead, please. Yes, morning.
Thanks a lot for your program. Please, I want to say this. I don't know why the government wants to prognose into the affairs of the church. What investment has government done in the church? Why are they comparing the church in the United Kingdom to the church in Nigeria? Do they know the investment that the United Kingdom has done to the church, people who are donating more to the churches, and so on and so forth? What investment has government done to the churches in Nigeria? Moreover, the members of the church, are they complaining? I don't see the reason why the government should go and prognose into the affairs of the church. These are enemies of the church. These are enemies of.
All right, thank you very much.
So I wanted the registrar to quickly clarify this. So what I hear you say is that to put in place an interim board of trustees is to ask the president one to step aside while they're being investigated. Is that the fact? Or you are forcing them to step aside while you put in phonies that will do your job? If you have if you have complaints against them, would you put in place that body so that they are forced to step aside while they're being investigated instead of continuing in office?
No, there has to be an inquiry first before they are suspended. For the period of the inquiry, they remain in office. It's after the inquiry, when you have reasonable evidence on the allegations made, then you suspend them. If you want to replace them, you have to go to court to replace them. But you can suspend them after an inquiry. Where there is a prima facie case and you have established that prima facie case, then they can be suspended. Then you take steps to go to court to replace them as trustees. As I have said, the measures by the commission is where the association itself fails to take necessary action, because the first point of call is the general members. The Constitution usually has 3 layers. You have the trustees, you have the governing council, then you have the general members. The power to appoint or remove trustees is usually provided in the Constitution, and that power is exercised by the members. But as I have said, most of these organizations, the members are the same as the trustees.
Oh, we're going to go a quick break. Then when we come back, we'll try to continue this conversation. It doesn't look like we're going to. Anyway, stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back. Welcome back to Your View.
Thanks for staying with us. So we have a caller, Otumba Odunton. Thanks for calling. Go ahead, please.
Good morning.
Morning.
Yes. First of all, let me start by saying that I'm a Christian, and a good Christian for that matter. Now, the last time I checked, this Karma 2020 is not about Christians alone. In fact, it's not about churches alone, not even about mosques alone. It's about incorporated trustees, about association. So how come, how many chief imam or alaji, how many of them have come to complain about this thing? My people, my Christian brethren, are complaining because they know that the bubble is going to burst. I've attended churches before where the pastor is our pastor is the GO, his wife, the treasurer, and we have lots of them in the country. And I'm talking about UK. The church I attended in the UK, Church of England, that's like an Anglican church here. Every Sunday, the vicar gives all of us, all members of the church, they give you of account showing how much was collected last week, tithe and law collections, and the bank balance in our account with Barclays Bank. Just 2 streets away was where we have the SSF on Oak Kent Road, SS17 in London. The same SSF was the one that was indicted recently.
Okay.
Same with KICC. KICC was the first Nigerian church to start asking people to pay their POS. That was early 90s in London. So why are we afraid of regulation? For God's sake, we want a good country.
Okay. All right, let me let you go now. Pastor Abam, I'd like to direct this question to you. Based on what Otumba just said, that it seems that it's only the Christian body that is actually speaking, because this is not just against the religious bodies. There are NGOs, there are various organizations that are under CSC, that this also covers. Even the religious, the Muslim imams are not saying anything. Why is it that our voice is so loud in the Christendom on this? Are we hiding anything?
Listen to me. We have nothing to hide. There are laws. The people speak ignorantly. And there are laws in this country that deal with fraud. And there are laws that deal with mismanagement. There are laws. And please, for crying out loud, we are not saying no to regulation. We are saying do it properly.
Okay.
Take it through the courts.
Right.
Don't leave it with the Registrar-General. He's an appointee of the government. He will do what his paymasters command him to do. Okay. Pass us through the courts.
It's like,
apply.
No, there must be a body that investigates and, regulates anything before you recourse to court. Just like the EFCC investigating a fraud, and then you prosecuting in court. I think that's what the body is for. This body registers all the incorporated trustees, and the body should regulate their activities. Don't you agree?
We are not arguing. You are not. Our argument is not that the registrar or the CSC should do their work. If there is an allegation of fraud, do your investigation, but take no action. Let the courts decide what action to be taken. How is that difficult?
And the reason
all
for
over
this,
the world.
Sorry, sir. And the reason for this is because of trust issues. And over the break, I was saying that sometimes we don't trust the police officers because we go there and we feel like they might not defend us, but we know that they are a body meant to protect us. So we can't do 2 wrongs to make it right. We can't say that I don't trust you. But some people are saying that we don't trust our church leaders. So here is the thing. The government is meant to protect the citizens. The citizens have said that they don't trust church leaders completely, and they want to provide a check for the church leaders. The church leader is saying, I don't trust your check. So we want you to change it and let's go to court. Where's the middle ground?
The court is the middle ground. There are 3 arms of government for crying out loud.
Okay.
The legislatures make the laws. The government is to enforce the laws. The courts will interpret. Take us through the proper process.
Okay,
let's go to court.
I think your point
before you take your action.
Okay.
I think your point is pretty clear, sir. I think on that note, we can let you off the hook at this moment. But let me go back to Registrar-General. But I'm going to break first. When I come back, I'll now focus on other units. There are the PTAs, there are other organizations, NGOs that are registered. I would like to see how this also affects their organizations. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back. Welcome back to Your View.
This ministry.
Thanks for staying with us. So we still have the Corporate Affairs Commission Registrar, Garba Abubakar. So I have a question from somebody here saying that do PTAs, that's Parent Teachers Association of federal government colleges, unity schools, fall under KAMA? Because many of them are riddled with mismanagement, gross cases of funds misuse, and they've had issues in trying to deal with this. So do PTAs fall under this group?
I believe most of them are registered. Yeah. I think we need to understand the legal framework for registration of associations. It is a constitutional right to associate. And unlike a company where the law says if you are carrying on business under any name other than your forename and surname, you must register. For associations, you have the option to register or not to register. Oh. If you choose to register, then you must comply with the law. So I believe most of these associations are registered with us, right, because without registration, you may not, they won't have a bank account. They won't, most of the things they do will not be possible without registration. Right. So this law
to register
has provided the right provisions now for the members to send petitions where they believe that it's enemy appropriation.
But then,
so if I'm a member of the PTA, for example, maybe a unity school, and I feel that there's fraud, massive fraud going on, I can raise a petition to the CSC to investigate.
You're correct. And CSC will make an inquiry.
Oh, yes, fantastic.
You can.
But you did not mention the consequence for failure to register, because there must be that consequence, because you're giving it like an alternative.
Not for association.
The registration is optional. It's not mandatory.
Okay.
But you have to ask yourself, what benefit do I derive from registration? But if you choose to register, as I said, then there has to be clear distinction between you as an individual trustee and the association. You are only a trustee. All right. You are the legal representative of the association. That's the distinction.
Right. Let me take this call from Gabriel. Gabriel from London, I believe. Go ahead, please.
Good.
Hello.
Everyone on the panel.
Yes, go ahead, sir. Yeah,
please. I've been listening to your people who have been commenting since. A man from Abuja talking about London. Mr. Abubakar talking about London. These who are living in Nigeria. I'm a pastor. I've been here for 35 years. Okay. What they are talking about London is a lie. Charity commissions here, these are civilized countries. You cannot compare here with Nigeria. Okay. Mr. Abubakar is a Muslim. The minister that he will take the matter to is a Muslim. And a church in Southern Kaduna, they will just close the church down. Muslim. And a church in Southern Kaduna, they will just close the church down.
Sir, are you there?
Nice country. Yeah. So don't say that. We are not civilized in Nigeria. We are divided country through the religion. In UK here, we are not. So if here we have Sharia, and they leave it to the Muslim only to deal with that. But when you talk of churches here, if you have a problem in the church, the Charity Commission will come in and sort the problem out without any bias. But in Nigeria, it's not like that. How can you want Mr. Abubakar to the very church in Southern Kaduna? I mean, listen to that pastor talking to you. This thing cannot work. It can cause a lot of problems in Nigeria. Right. Oh, wow. We don't need this law now. There are problems killing people in Northeast everywhere. They can't solve Boko Haram problem. They are killing.
Point taken, sir. Thank you very much.
The law doesn't shut it down.
I like the registrar to respond to that.
The law doesn't shut the church down. The law doesn't shut it down.
He needs to come home so that we can join our forces together and make Nigeria a better place.
But he made a point that you're a Muslim. The minister in charge is a Muslim. See, that's the issue. There's this Muslim Christian.
By my letter of engagement, I'm supposed to be fair and just to all manner of people.
There's a sweet question for you, sir.
You don't bring religion to regulatory issues.
Exactly.
And if we are talking about religion, so if they go to court and the judge is a Muslim, what are they going to say? That there won't be justice because the judge is a Muslim? we should stop trivializing issues.
So, do you think? Let me put, because somebody sent me a message now and said that we should start this global practice with police, electricity, transportation, waste disposal, and other critical issues in Nigeria. When we do, then maybe other organizations can begin to trust the government when you bring in issues of regulation in organizations like this. So it's a trust issue. That's why I said I put the cart before the horse. Maybe let us see government put other issues and policies in place to ensure best practice globally on other key issues that Nigerians are bothered with like waste disposal.
But government is addressing all issues. You see, we have to accept one fact. We are one country and one people, regardless of our differences.
We hope so.
And these laws are made for Nigerians. And you have said in your opening remarks that so many Christians are uploading this law. So why should we be distracted by a few that may be the law because of vested interest? Why should we be distracted by that?
Sir, Mr. Gabriel that called in, Pastor Gabriel that called in mentioned shutting down the church. Our guests also insinuated shutting down the church. So, sir, I want you to clarify. When the board of trustees, is appointed, do they shut down the church, or can the church still continue running?
What the law says is the certificate of registration may be withdrawn or revoked. But even where certificate is withdrawn or revoked, and that can only happen where an organization is operating illegally. And as I have said, there has to be an inquiry. And even where a certificate is withdrawn, the law says CAC has to dissolve. And you cannot dissolve without the court. The provision on dissolution is clear that 50% of the members can apply to dissolve, or 2 or more trustees can apply to dissolve the association, or the commission can apply to court.
So can you shut down the church? Can you shut down the church? Let's just have that clear. With the new law, sir, with the new law, sir, with the new law.
Under the new law, you cannot shut down anybody without due process.
Okay. Let me take this call from Kingsley. Kingsley is on the phone from Sweden. Kingsley, very quickly, go ahead, please.
Hello, good morning, ladies.
Morning, go ahead, please.
Thank you for your program.
Thank you.
Please, what I want to point out is this. You see, every time something happens in Nigeria, we quickly point out to US or UK where we copy their democracy or whatever. But when it comes to practice, we don't practice what we copy from them. We have seen a lot of things happen in Nigeria, whereby people will go to court, but they were not allowed to present their case. The case will be strike out. You know, the reason why some people don't complain is because the law favors them. You know how Nigeria works. See, if they want checks and balances, it's not bad, but okay, let's make everything to balance. When it comes to National Assembly in Nigeria or Senate, the Northerners, they have 19 states. Let them balance it so that the West, the Southwest, and Southeast, let them have 19 representatives so that when it comes to...
Right.
I wanted to take 2 tweets for the registrar. So 2 tweets, that questions for you. John Bamidele Isaac is asking that you should cite examples of countries where this type of law is practiced and the benefits of the law to the citizens of the country, of this country like Nigeria, because there are too many laws in the countries.
I've mentioned the UK. We have similar provisions in Canada. In UK, the Charities Commission has all the powers. In fact, on all grounds, they can remove, they can suspend without recourse to the court. And what their own law even says is the Charities Commission has concurrent jurisdiction, like a high court in England. So our laws are not as extensive as what you have under the Charities Act. Okay. And what are we saying? You see, this is our country. Yes. Whether we like it or not, we are together and we have to live together. And these laws are meant to be obeyed. And as public servants, we are accountable. We are subject to public scrutiny. Right. So if, as the Registrar-General, I don't have absolute authority to do in the manner I deem fit, I'm guided by these laws.
Unfortunately,
so people will understand. And tomorrow I may not be there. It may be somebody else. And if we are questioning every institution in our country, then it's unfortunate because, as I have said, even the court Somebody will even say the decision of the court was biased because the judge is a Muslim. A Muslim will say the decision is biased because the judge is a Christian. We should go above this. We should go above all these primordial sentiments.
All right. I think we can wrap up on that. Thank you very much, sir. Unfortunately, we're out of time. I really appreciated you joining us this morning. We learned quite a bit. So Nigerians, is left to you. You decide what side you're on. By the end of the day, it's about Nigerian people. So we'll be speaking with the Corporate Affairs Commission, Registrar-General Garba Abubakar. We've also been speaking with the pastor, Senior Pastor, Guiding Light Assembly, Abuja Worship Center, Apostle Israel Abam. That's all we can take on today. See you tomorrow. Bye for now.
Bye.